Okay, well, Jim's been on hold long enough to get us his story again. Jim, you got us right at the top of the hour, so let's let you finish up here.
Okay, great. Yes. So I was asking Dr. Fred Bell whether or not he knew of some of the work of Dr. Ernest Rossi and Dr. Candace Pert, who's a microbiologist. Dr. Candace Pert's work emphasized that the body is the subconscious mind, and that our experiences are actually, if we are having traumatic experiences, stored in different parts of the body. And the work that Dr. Ernest Rossi and Dr. Milton Erickson emphasized is that, we can actually use the mind to heal physical ailments in the body. I think Einstein kind of emphasized that principle, too, that we're only using 1/10 of our brain. And, I'm trying to connect a lot of this to our ability to be able to use focused healing power to heal certain ailments. And I've done this on myself to heal myself of ulcerative colitis, which my GI doctor told me was incurable. And so, I think there's a lot of untapped potential here. I'm not sure how that ties in with, some of this gadgetry and machinery, but it sounds like, together it could have some kind of reciprocal enhancement between the material and spiritual connectivity between the two.
What do you think, Fred?
Well, a couple of things. One, it's the subtle body that he's talking about, and we work at it through different devices, through RNA, DNA gene splicing and spacing. It's done on a quantum level. When the Tibetans have a saying, the mind is the slayer of the real, because, an energy follows thought. So you can visualize the what's going on, and then you can, through various technologies and even a tremendous diet and meditation, do it yourself. No machine, by the way, heals you. Everything that's ever corrected is done by the individual themselves. The machinery only just provides a way of blocking, things that are blocking your body up. And most people carry on their auric fields these negative things. In chemistry, when chemistry looked at it, I think Dr. Barry Sears was one of the first ones to really explore that with his book, The Zone. And what he did is he put a biological diet of protein, carbohydrate, and fats together that put a person in the zone. It's like you're out there playing baseball one day and you're going to knock a home run. The next day you've knocked home runs all week and you can't even hit the ball anymore. It's getting into that zone frequency, and that is a quantum effect, and that's called quantum entanglement. And once you get in touch with it, it's almost like magic. But there's so many ways that people approach it, mental control, thought control. But science today is now able to look at the mental energy with some of the particles I mentioned earlier, and actually put that into Maxwell equations, which deal with magnetic resonance and things what the EMI machines, ERI machines work on. This is where we're at right now, is dealing with this, and a lot of people, do carry a lot of subconscious pain around, but that can be gotten rid of. This is the upside of this field versus the downside, where somebody's creating that pain on top of what you already have.
Back to some of this electronic harassment, Fred, that's out there. Are other countries doing this too?
Oh, yeah.
To their populations?
Yeah. When that lady called about the heat problem, the system is called the active denial system, and it's a 95 gigahertz system. The L.A. Police Department was the first one to use that, and they use it for prisoner control. A lot of countries, England is producing a system right now that's going into communications, the Tetra system, which they install it in subways, like 20,000 transceivers and 20,000 of them in subways in New York. This came from England, a company in England, and they can not only do communication, it's a big network, but they can also cause police officers to have strange thoughts because they can modulate on top of these 400 megahertz signals that they're using and control. And that's why, if you remember about 7-8 years ago, all this weird stuff that happened in subways, that's when they released the Tetra system. In Switzerland, there's companies over there that are producing equipment now that produce all kinds of things similar to what we're doing over here, and they sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're totally accepted by the European, medical, organizations.
Well, it's easier to get things approved there, isn't it?
Well,
unless you're on supplements, they don't want you to take supplements.
Yeah, I worked with the German government because we sell our vitamins over there, and I had to work with the head of the German FDA to get that done. That took a while. But yeah, they have the strangeness is still in the vitamin supplements. The more therapy equipment that came over here years ago, it was the first equipment that, let's say, you have a pain in your shoulder. Let's say how people get a pain in their, let's say your right shoulder, and it hurts like heck. Okay. The more therapy equipment would say, okay, the delta frequencies of the muscles, we like to see about, maybe say 10 to 18 hertz. But a person who's been watching a computer screen all day long and getting stressed out, maybe breathing some carbon monoxide or dioxide from a car, it loads up their system, their heartbeat changes, and it puts too much blood pressure on that muscle. So now they got a pain in their shoulder. Well, now the frequency of that muscle spasm is probably 22 or 23 cycles per second, 23 hertz. The more therapy equipment connects onto the shoulder, sees that 22 megahertz signal, overcomes the blood pressure problem, and then starts to back it down, sending pulses out, every so often out of sync with the pain pulses, and knocks that pain. It goes away. That was called more therapy equipment. Totally illegal in this country. I knew a friend of mine that brought one over, smuggled it in the tail of a Learjet to get it over here years ago because we were playing with it in the old days. So, yeah, Russia is way out there with what they're doing. I mean,
yeah, they always were.
Yeah, like that Paponin guy I was telling you about. He works at one of the big Russian universities that did that phantom DNA thing on the CRT screen in that scattering chamber. So, yeah, everybody's doing it, and we are too. I mean, I'm doing it as a civilian, and there are other civilians here that are doing it. But the military, let me tell you, they're way into this because they've been doing it for a long time, ever since the old sub-projects in MK Ultra.
Have you been able to tie in consciousness yet with the rest of your work?
Yes, we have. That's what I was explaining when I was talking about the Vutamas and the Soliton waves. We have. We are able to. We have one of my friends has developed a device. It's called the I-beam, and you can make a computer change, or you can change things just by looking at something by the energy coming out of the eye. That's part of consciousness, and we are able to do that. There's just a whole lot of ways of doing it now. And I demonstrate I do this at the conventions. I don't think you've ever seen me do it, but we do a demonstration with the projector where we have somebody visualize someone, and then that person is subjected to a huge amount of poison across the room. And at certain times we note that when that person using the projector visualizes that person being well, they can handle the poison, and through kinesiology they don't get a negative effect. But as soon as that person doesn't visualize that person anymore, then they get very sick, or the kinesiology, their arm will go down, or they'll fail. So we demonstrate that quite a bit. I mean, I've been doing it for quite a while, but that's just we're way beyond that now. I mean, it's all about remoteness and doing things, because I think we can do. It's pretty good. I wrote about this in some of my earlier books way back, and I knew the hologram was going to be the way to go. And this is probably wrote about this like 79 or 1980. And I said that the military will someday understand some of the work that we're doing back then, because we were developing some strange devices even then. And sure enough, today they write about it and talk about it, and and I was considered a complete idiot, which I probably still am. But now I'm considered an idiot that could be dangerous.
I was going to say a dangerous idiot, right?
Yeah, a dangerous idiot. So yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. But this quantum stuff, I've dedicated my life to this work. And I honestly think that we are leaders. I mean, I think that my company and my work and my staff that works with me, I think we're way ahead of a lot of the military stuff. I really do. I've seen what they can do, and I'm impressed.
How do you know they haven't infiltrated you?
Oh, they tried. Are you kidding? They have.
You hire somebody and you think, hey, this is a nice worker, but he works for them.
Yeah, I'm not infiltrated, but I've had every one of those symptoms that I read earlier at one time or another.
Let's go to Nancy in Destrehan, Louisiana. First-time caller. Hi, Nance.
Hi. Nice to talk to you, gentlemen. Thank you for taking my call. I am a chronic pain 24/7 and a chronic insomniac 24/7. My brain never seems to stop. In, out, garbage in, garbage out, whatever. That's not why I'm calling. The reason I'm saying that is because I'm a listener in the middle of the night. I was wondering if I haven't heard any information regarding what's called the HAARP. I think it's HAARP.
Oh, we've done many shows on that.
Well, I didn't know what his your guest.
Well, we'll get his take on it if you want. Of course, you know what HAARP is, Fred. It's up in Alaska.
I wanted to do an interview up there. I had planned this interview. I wanted to go up and ambush those guys up there with some of their work, because I'm very familiar with it.
Some people think they're causing these earthquakes. Everybody thinks they're causing the bird deaths. You were talking about the gas earlier.
Yeah,
but it's obviously being used for purposes that aren't really helping us.
Well, yeah, the weather control, of course, is what they want to make fog in an area where they're so they can move troops in or whatever. But I mean, basically, it's a virtual antenna system that creates a virtual antenna somewhere above the Earth, north of the equator, because it's up in the north part, and then it allows another secondary beam to hit that virtual antenna and send a signal south of the equator, because radio frequencies are line of sight. So it allows the HAARP people to probe things below the equator or anywhere on this planet at any given point in time and day. That's basically the operation of the system. What kind of intelligence they put on there? Yeah, they can do weather control. They can X-ray underground bunkers, like they did that with Saddam Hussein looking for bunkers. They can do a lot of stuff with it. They can do mind control. They're very hush-hush on mind control because it's a very good delivery system. It's more of a broadband system. So they're going to do mind control. They're going to do a whole area. For example, when I first saw the government doing experimentations in large areas, it was flesh-eating bacteria, which would come into a couple of areas in a few small cities around the country. And I was studying all this, and just one little community, all of a sudden this would spring up and maybe affect maybe 40 or 50 people, but maybe a community of 1,000 would be affected overall because